Hey art friends, thanks for joining. I'm Allie and today we're going to be doing abstract art. Here's one of our timeline cards, modern period of the art. It's called The City Rises and it's a detail. So that means there's more of this picture. We're just showing a portion of it on this card. When I see that title, I'm like, oh, well maybe I do see some buildings and cities in the background. But with abstract art, it doesn't necessarily attempt to make a recognizable reality, but instead it's using shapes and colors and forms and textures to achieve an effect. And this definitely has a lot of color and texture with their brushstrokes. Here's some of the artist cards. So these are not timeline cards, but the artist cards. And these would be examples of not abstract art. So this is very realistic. Here we have Gainsborough and here we have Norman Rockwell. I believe we visit this artist cycle 2 and cycle 3, but just to contrast, we can tell that this is a boy here in a blue suit, and then we have here 3 boys running away. This is called No Swimming, the boy blue. Let's look at 2 more things from this artist. This is from an Italian artist. I'll do my best to pronounce it. But his name is Umberto Biaccioni. And here are some other pieces of his works. This is a sculpture. So that means it's not flat, it's a form. It's got dimension to it. And it's about 43 inches tall. That's pretty tall, isn't it? It's called Unique Forms of Continuity in Space. And then here's another one of his pieces called States of Mind, the Farewells. There's definitely a lot of meaning in abstract art, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it for when artists are creating art, and the placement of things and the colors and where you put things. Like my eye's drawn to this round shape here of the red, and then we've got this another round shape here of this yellow over here. And look how this line kind of swirls down and kind of connects these two with our eye. But a lot of green going on here in the middle. Almost like a train coming at us right there. So, abstract art. So let's create our own. I'm gonna give you a few suggestions today and I'll go over those. And then if you look down in the descriptions, I'll have the times of when I'm starting each of those lessons. And so you could just click on that time and it will take you straight to that spot. This one is an abstract fall landscape. Can you see that? So this is just a representation of a tree. Trees don't have swirls in them. They don't have bright pink in them, but fall is coming and there are some times when it does just look like the trees are just on fire. And so 3 sheets of paper. I used oil pastels. They give great vibrant color. You could use crayons, watercolors, use the materials that you have. So, we're gonna take this blue sheet and we're going to cut a line that's not straight. I'm not even gonna draw it. I'm just gonna swirl around. So if you have a sibling that you're working with or a classmate, one of you could get one side, one could get the other. So you could have a parent help you with this. Just cutting a shape. So then we're going to take that shape and we're going to put it on our green paper like this. Okay? So the other person could get this side. So we're going to glue this down. I'm using a glue stick. I'm just putting it along the edges. You could put a little bit in the middle if you would like, but you do not need to cover the whole thing. Save some glue for another project. Then I'm gonna line it up in the corners the best that I can. You can trim some away if you need to. So now I've created my sky and my ground. Here's a piece of white printer paper. We're going to fold it in half. And then let's cut it in half. I wasn't being super careful because we're gonna fold this again. And it doesn't, it's okay. So we're gonna make our large straight and then our two small ones. So I'm just going to fold it in half, and if you wanna draw a line, you can, but it can just, if this is abstract, it can kind of be like organic. It does not have to be a perfect shape. I'm gonna make mine a little bit different from the example. Okay, so here can be my large tree. That's actually too large. Do you see that? That's how big that is. Let's trim a little bit off. That fits better. Different shapes. And then we're gonna use our small sheets for our small trees. So fold it. I'm gonna cut it. So put those two together. And I'm just gonna fold it again. And I'm gonna cut through both of these at the same time so I can get the same shape. You don't have to, just so open it up. If you wanna smooth out any of the sides, you can. Okay, so now I've got my two trees right here. We could even have them overlapping. All right, so I'm not gonna color them on here because I don't wanna get the colors onto my background, so I will put them on my table. You could get another piece of paper to protect it. You can practice those oils on here. Straight lines, dots, curved lines, dots. You could use marker on this. So practice those oils. Oil pastels, I have the water soluble kind, and they can get a little on your hands, a little sticky sometimes. So you need to wash your hands. Now it's time to apply the trees. You're gonna glue them down. I'm leaving space to put my trunk here. My hill's going down, so I could drop this one down a little bit. This is also a lesson that you could use with perspective, because the things that are closer to us are bigger and things that are further away are smaller. Then we need a trunk. So you take it, let's add that trunk on there. You could just give them a straight line. You could put a few little lines on there, like so. And then sign your artwork. Oh, got a little bit on there. It's okay. Use your fingernail, kind of scrape it off. So some abstract oil trees. Marker, crayon, oil pastel, watercolor. Working on cutting, layering, overlapping. So there we go. Another great abstract one is the one that I did for week 1, which is again using those oils, but then we divide them into different sections. So this is week 1 video for cycle 1. So that was posted a few weeks ago. So you can check that one out. And for our last one of my favorites is taking watercolor paper, putting painter's tape on it, and putting watercolors in the different sections. Don't be afraid to use some good, strong, intense watercolors and blending like 2 different colors in a different tint together. See this dark blue and this light blue? Here's another one of my boys, and his were a little bit less intense. Still really beautiful, just gives a different effect. But mixing those colors together, like the two greens and different things, can make it a really strong composition. So let's do that one. I would suggest using watercolor paper for this. When you put the tape on there, it can easily tear off of cardstock, but you can do it with cardstock for sure. In the example I just showed you, I had tape that was like half this size, but I'm using what I have. I don't have one of those right now. So I just took this piece of tape and I was just tearing it. This could be a happy little accident right here. You could ask for some help to get it to tear, and I'm gonna, oh, it's a little twisted up there. I think I want to connect those. Okay, I like that. Here is a color wheel. So if I'm gonna do yellow, then I could do like a light green, or I could do like a light orange. Or if I'm gonna do purple, I could do blue, or maybe more on the red side. But I can do color and then its neighboring colors, and they're gonna blend really well together. If I try to go opposite and do a green with an orange, it's just gonna kind of turn brown and not be as beautiful. So here we go. Do you see how I'm leaving it really heavy here in the corners? Just kind of dabbing that paint on. Then I can get some nice intense colors, and then they'll bleed together. So if the water touches them, then they're gonna start moving around. And you can go back and make it darker, but it's hard to make it lighter. Sometimes you can dab like a paper towel on it, like if you got a little spot on there. A green and yellow, let those kind of blend, and then I'm just gonna pull, I got just water, and I'm just gonna pull that off to the side like that. Another fun thing to do is when it's still a little bit wet in an area, like this one's lost its sheen, like it's not shiny anymore, you can sprinkle a little bit of salt, and the salt will absorb some of the color and leave a really cool texture behind. Just water now. If the paper is still kind of glistening and looks really wet, then just wait a minute before you pull your tape off so that those colors don't run there. And if some seeped underneath, it's okay. It's just part of working with watercolors. And you may want to get a parent to help you with this. Sometimes the paper might kind of pull off of it, even with a watercolor paper, but I'm just gonna take my time and I'm just slowly pulling in the same direction. Trying to give this side a little bit more time. See where some of the paper's coming up right there? It's okay. I'm really loving these ripped tape lines. I think it's a lot more visually interesting to have this movement versus just straight lines. I don't mind a few straight lines, but that actually worked out really cool. So after it dries, sign your name on it. Or if you're doing this in community, maybe sign your name on the back before you paint it. Well, thanks for joining me today in abstract art. Whether you're doing watercolor, whether you're revisiting the oils lesson and doing that, or making some abstract trees. There's so many great art lessons out there, so have fun exploring different mediums, and until next time.